Hello everyone and welcome back to Southern Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. As you guys know, it's the only thing that I ask. So I hope you guys have had a very nice Easter. I've had quite a nice break with the family, and I hope you managed to enjoy as well. Today I wanted to cover a little bit on the macro side because I've seen in the comments that a lot of people have appreciated those videos. So I'll try to put some things into perspective a little bit more for my American friends, if I can be honest, because usually, and it's not really your fault, it's mostly I follow a lot of American media and the way they don't cover countries appropriately, so other countries appropriately, meaning it's quite shocking to me. So I'll try to give you a little bit of an international perspective of things and also to give you the tools to understand what is fugazi, what is fake, what is naiveness, and what is actually reality. And all of these are numbers, so, and most of it will be numbers, so it's really not up to debate in the sense of it's not me giving you my opinion, it's going to be a lot just giving you straight facts. So let's start. As I've mentioned, I do believe some trade deals will be announced very soon. Probably not. This trade deal is 80 pages, perfectly delineated, and is going to be signed tomorrow. Probably it's going to be something of we've agreed on the major points. We are now writing down the details, and we expect signing within the next 30 days, whatever, something like this. And we're going to be removing this, and that. We're going to be adding this, and that. And this should help, blah, 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 whatever. And if you guys recall my previous videos, I've been talking a lot about this is a huge opportunity for India. If I would be India, I would be calling the US non-stop until I got a trade deal. I've been saying this, you guys are my witnesses, I don't know, for weeks now. I mean, almost every video I mention it. And because this is that big chance to overtake China. And if you think they are friends, because this is somehow the idea that India and China are friends, why don't you type India-China military conflict? And you'll find out very soon how friendly they really aren't. And this is a great opportunity for India, as I mentioned. Guess what has been announced today? Vice President J.D. Vance will be going to India tomorrow for 4 days. Oh, what a shock. No, there's no shock. It's exactly what we expected. Now, there's been also a memorandum of intent for the mineral deals with Ukraine, between the US and Ukraine, so I hope that gets signed on Thursday. And apparently the US has been proposing to lower some sanctions to allow basically the steps into a peace deal. And I believe some of these things have been shared with European countries for the negotiations to keep on progressing in the appropriate direction. I think this is really under factored in by the market. I think it can be a very good thing over the next few weeks to months. So I do hope that can be sorted out. And apparently, yesterday, the US and Iran had discussions again, and they went quite well. And next week, they have another round of discussions to achieve a deal. So that is something that I haven't seen many people talking about. To me, that's way more relevant than, oh, the US announces 300% tariffs on China. I mean, who cares? I mean, to me, because at this point we already understand there's no trade, or there's not going to be any trade happening with China. That's key for everyone to understand. Now, here's the situation. I've talked about this before, but maybe you're new in this channel, so I will tell you again. There's a reason why the timing of these tariffs was made after Trump basically forced the Europeans to announce massive defense spending, the 1 trillion euros, right? And the three reasons are very simple. Number one, midterms are very far away. So people are so happy in the media to say, oh, he's losing support. Of course he's losing support. He's doing something that in the short term is quite unpopular. As soon as some deals start popping in, all of a sudden his popularity will rise. And particularly when the tax bill gets passed, etc. Number two is Europe was struggling, the major economies were struggling before Trump was even in office. So if you look at 2024, Germany was in contraction, France the same, UK flat with high inflation. By the way, if you want to see stagflation that everybody talks about, you don't need to picture it, just look at the UK. But this is the poor job that the American media, including YouTube media, makes. They talk about, oh, are we going to have stagflation? Are we going to have stagflation? Do you want stagflation? Look at the UK. You have it. You don't need to look for hypotheticals. There's a real case happening right now. And Italy was also flat. Now, in case you don't know, these are the biggest economies. You have an exception, which is Spain, which grew faster than the US, but, from other perspectives has very little power. But in any case, Portugal and Spain seem to be amongst the best performers countries in the region. And then Europe is struggling. Unless you live underneath a rock, just type on Google Europe safety, Sweden no-go zones, Germany danger, whatever. You just Google yourself and you'll find out exactly what I'm talking about. There's a reason, if you look at who's winning elections and who's gaining a lot of popularity in Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, they're now starting to ban politicians from going into elections, like in France and in Romania. In the UK, they vote one side of the spectrum, then they vote the other side of the spectrum, then they vote the other side, because they're desperate for something. So there's a reason why this is happening right now. And number 3, nobody paid any attention because I haven't seen this discussed anywhere. China just had its 29th straight month of PPI collapsing. That's the producer's inflation. That means overcapacity, deflationary pressures everywhere, and they've been stimulating as much as they can, and nothing is working. What happens? Sorry. What happens when you lose your number one client in the process? And with this, you need to picture how the majority of businesses are done with China now. You see, most people don't do it because they've never done any business in China, so they have no idea. Let's say you have a European company, forget about the US, and you have a $50 million, because China will not accept euro most of the times, and the Europeans will not accept yuan for sure. So more likely than not, let's say half the time, the deal will be done in dollars, which will tie into my next point. Now, let's say it's a $15 million order. Do you think the European company gives $15 million to China immediately? No. They make a deposit, let's say 150 to 300K, to have the factory in China keep moving. Then the factory in China, or the company in China, will go to a bank and say, hey, I have this order by this very reputable company, give me financing so I can produce the rest of the order. But now the tariffs kick in. Oh, this doesn't work for me. The European company, in this case the American company, because the tariffs are with America, hey, I want to cancel my order because this no longer works for me. But the issue is that the factory is already mid-production and they've already borrowed money from the bank. Now the bank in China is knocking, where's my money, where's my money? And this factory stopped because they cannot sell to its number one consumer. See the issue? So these things, most people don't even talk about it because they've never done any kind of business, so have no idea what happens. Now, just Google shipments China, factories closed, factories with stockpiles that are not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Now, then you have these kind of news headlines. China and Vietnam are meeting to strengthen a Southeast Asian cooperation, right? This is to basically say, hey, look, Trump is pushing everyone into each other's arms. This is terrible, blah, blah, blah. What's the problem with this? Who's going to buy what from whom? Vietnam doesn't have a strong consumer base. China doesn't have a strong consumer base. Both are looking for the same thing, a client with money. What is it? You see, this is why, but the reason why this news is presented like this is because nobody has any idea in the US, unfortunately. What is the status of, what is the model of the Vietnamese economy? They don't have no idea. They just assume probably it's like South Korea or something, one of the strongest countries, and that's it. South Korea just announced that they won't retaliate against Trump. Surprise, surprise. Probably making deals as well. They're going to be in Washington this week. See what I mean? Now, here's also the advantage of the US, and this is the fault of all the other countries, because they've agreed with this system. The dollar index, which is dollar versus major currencies, has been oscillating between low 80s to high 110s most of the time. Meaning, the dollar index either goes to 81, 82, and then goes all the other way to close to 120. Now, you can have some special events in which it goes below 80, or where it goes above 120, but that's very, very rare, and usually it's very short term. So this is the variation. Now, what would be the chance for countries like UK, in the European Union, Switzerland, Australia, Canada? You get the point. What would be the solution here? When the dollar is very weak, let's take advantage and repay a lot of dollar debt. This way, we are not so affected, we're not so dependent on dollars. But what did they do? Last time was during a little bit after the zombie virus, the dollar index went as low as 88 or 86. What did European companies, what did European governments, what did pension funds, insurance companies, blah, 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 did? Accumulated and increased dollar debt. What is the problem with that? Dollar debt needs to be repaid in dollars. Who produces dollars in the world? One entity, the Federal Reserve. When they stop printing, everybody is competing for the same dollars. The allies of the US get something called swap lines. They get direct access to dollars, while other countries need to go to the market and fight it out. Since everybody is fighting for dollars, because they need to repay dollar debts, the dollar goes up. So that's why you look at 2022, the Fed gets the liquidity pump, and the dollar index explodes. Now, why am I saying this? Because of all this conversation of de-dollarization, de-dollarization, de-dollarization. Is the de-dollarization happening? Yes, very slowly. And usually it reverses. If you type number of foreigners holding, and this means governments, companies, insurance companies, pension funds, blah, 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 foreigners, not US-based foreigners, holding US dollars, it's up 10% versus last year. Now, so it's going up. And the dollar, as of today, is way more relevant than any other currencies. Number one currency of global issuance of debt in 2024, 85% dollar, 10 to 11% euro, 4% everything else. Global trade, 47% dollar, 22% euro, 3% yuan, Chinese yuan, or 4%, 3-4%. In 2024, the yuan was less used for trade than the British pound, a country in stagflation. Think about it. A country that had like 5 prime ministers in 3 years, whatever, right? They still did more trade, almost double the trade of the Chinese, using the Chinese yuan. So for example, what does that mean in also real terms? It means this. You have a Vietnamese company doing business with, Thailand company from Thailand. Vietnam, Thailand. Nobody believes the Vietnamese currency. Nobody believes the Thai currency, the baht. So what do? They put in the facility in dollars. The US is not even here. But that's the power of that currency. If you look at foreign reserves held, so foreign reserves, meaning Let's say you are a country in Europe, your main currency is euro, what is your secondary currency? Today, 58% of the global reserves are in dollars. 10 years ago was 63%. So this big de-dollarization is 0.5% a year. The euro remained the same place. The yen slightly increased. The Swiss franc increased quite a bit. The yuan peaked in 2022 and has been steadily declining at around 2 or 3%. So this is what we're talking about. 58 versus 3%. 85 versus 1%. 47 versus 4%. The domination, the level of dominance of the dollar is so big that it's very hard to fight. So for example, what if the Americans say, hey guys in Europe, you guys don't want to make a deal? Fine, let's do this then. Next time your companies and insurance companies and pension funds, etc. need dollars, you remember those swap lines? They gave you preferential access to dollars? Closed. Go fight it in the market and go spend billions of dollars in the exchange rate conversions, because you and every other country will be fighting for those. See what I mean? So what I'm trying to say here is when people talk about de-dollarization and the BRICS currency is about to solve everything, look at the countries in the BRICS. This has always, you see, they never make an analysis of the nations in the BRICS. What are they selling? Virtually, they all sell the same things. Who's buying from whom? Nobody's buying, everyone is selling. So where is the purchase here? And which currency is going to be accepted here? Are we going to create a new currency? Who's going to hold the majority of the control of that currency? Look at Europe. Look at the amount of division in Europe, despite countries with similar overarching cultures. You could argue, I'm not trying to say that North and South Europe are the same. What I'm saying is they are much more alike than Brazil and India. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that Germany and Italy are the same country. Please don't take that on that side. What I'm saying is, from a level of development, sophistication in finance, sophistication in technology, regulatory environment, many times you have countries, for example, a French company with a Spanish company dealing with English law. So what I'm trying to say is that there's some commonalities that from the world of business that makes it much easier. And look at how it works. From time to time, Italy wants to leave the European Union, Spain wanted to leave, then parts of Spain wanted independence, then Germany was getting tired of the euro, the Netherlands was making the League of Five or the League of Nine with the Nordics in preparation of a dissolution of the European Union. And these are countries that fairly trust more or less each other, that work kind of well together. The others don't trust each other for nothing. In fact, the majority of the trades between these countries, for example, India and others, is in dollars, which is the currency that is supposedly tried to destroy. Do you think anybody accepts the Brazilian real? The Brazilian real 10 years ago was €1 to 3 Brazilian real, and now it's like €1 to 7. The Argentinian peso in 2001 was 1-to-1 to the dollar. Now it's 1 to 1,000. Who trusts this? Yes, de-dollarization will happen, and de-dollarization will take many more years than people try and pretend that's going to take. That's why they never give you the background of this. They never talk about, okay, let's look at global trade. How much is in dollars? 47%? What about the euro? Euro is a bunch of countries together, right? That trade with everybody. How much is euro? 22%? Oh, is it growing a lot? Not really. It's kind of stable. Okay, that's not good. What about foreign reserves? Everybody's ditching the dollars, right? Oh no, it's actually 58%. Okay, how much is euros? Around 18. Okay, it's not great. What about issuance of debt? The things that we use as collateral and for financing. Oh, it's 85% dollars. What about the yuan? I thought China was the number 2 economy. Oh, it's like 1%. Oh, this doesn't look so easy to get rid of, right? So this is my point. I'm not trying to make a video pro US. Yeah, US gonna dominate everything. I don't think it's. I think the US has a lot of problems. What I push back against is this decisiveness on analysis, on how sure everyone is that this is gonna collapse, or that's gonna collapse, or that's gonna do well. To me, that's crazy. How can you be so sure about these things? And when people say, "Oh yeah, in 5 years the dollar is finished," I say, "Really? How? Based on what? Did you make the analysis? Why don't you talk numbers?" Oh, these guys are meeting with those guys. Yes, okay. Who sells to whom? Make a 30-second analysis on each economy. Which one deals with whom? Who's selling to whom? In what currency? Is China gonna take the Vietnamese dollars? I don't think so. Is the Vietnam taking Chinese dollars? Probably not. Chinese dollars, the Chinese yuan? Probably not. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Maybe we use the US dollar. Yeah, but we're trying to get away from the US dollar, right? That was the point. Yeah, but I don't trust you. You don't trust me. So, we go with the most liquid currency. So, what I'm trying to say here, that these things are way more complicated. And unfortunately, at least when I read the American media, I just laugh because I get the impression that they just European Union, Italy, France, Germany, they're all the same, no difference. Everything is together. Asia, okay, Asia. Well, Asia goes from Turkey all the way to China. Which Asia are you talking about? Talking about East Asia, Southeast Asia? Talking about Singapore? What are you saying? By the way, the Singaporean economy is much stronger than almost all the others. Are you talking about those guys in particular? What about the South Koreans? What is happening in South Korea? What happened to the previous guy that was in power? Just type on Google, South Korea, Prime Minister or President or whatever. Check what happened to him and tell me if that country is doing very well. So it's very easy to pinpoint the bad things about the US, and I agree, there are a lot of them. But the world is relative. Compared to what is the key question? Oh, China, the US is terrible because they push us a lot on this and the other. I don't like the US as the leader. Okay, compared to what? Is Europe going to take the leadership? Usually they can agree for more than a week. Just a little bit of food for thought. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.